You teach best what you need the most.
Well, welcome back to the Wild Business Growth Podcast. This is your place to hear from a new entrepreneur every single Wednesday morning who's turning wild ideas into wild growth. I'm your host, Max Branstetter, founder and podcast producer at MaxPodcasting. And you can email me at max@maxpodcasting.com to save time with your high-quality podcast. This is episode 296, and today's guest is Margo Jordan. Margo is the founder and CEO of Enrichly, the number one self-esteem game in the world. It is an incredible and incredibly enriching e-learning platform as well as gaming app, especially for kids, and it's all about boosting self-esteem. In this episode, we talk how Enrichly came to be, why self-esteem is so important, the real-life case study that Margo has gone through to find the perfect fit from a customer standpoint and what Enrichly looks and feels like and works like. And on top of that, Margo is legitimately a hero. And on top of that, it's incredible she even recorded this podcast in the first place. Very well could have postponed or canceled it. More on that later in the interview. It is Margo. Enjoy the show. Alrighty, we are here with Margo Jordan, founder and CEO of Enrichly, one of the most enriching, one of the coolest, helpful, educational, and self-esteem promoting companies I've ever come across. Margo, thank you so much for joining. How are you doing today?
I'm doing very well. How are you, Max?
I'm doing great, and both our names start with MA, so we got that in common. But also, I saw looking up at on your LinkedIn. You started Enrichly, or under the prior name, in August 2018, which is the same exact month we launched the Wild Business Growth Podcast. So this was an interview destined to happen.
Oh, for sure. That's so cool. I love that.
Yeah. So we're twins. We've grown up together. Really excited to get the Enrichly story and cover all sorts of parts of your career. But before that, I know you spent a good number of years in the Army. So thank you for that. I mean, that's awesome. By the way, can I ask you, because I've heard different things from veterans. Do you prefer when people say thank you for your service, or is it just no need to bring it up?
I mean, thank you for your service is fine. I mean, I don't mind.
Okay. All right. So thank you for your service. Thank you. What was it that you were actually doing in the Army? Or what was your favorite role that you did in the Army?
I was a truck driver when I initially went in 2007. Yeah, I went in 2007. I was a truck driver, and then I was in the National Guard, and then I left. Well, I stayed in the Guard, but then I went into officer training school, and I was training to go into the finance brigade while attending college. Went to Texas Southern University, and then I was in officer training school for a couple of years, and then I ended up getting hurt in the military. So I had gotten an honorable discharge, and guess you can say I've been like medically retired. Yeah, 2015.
Wow. Well, thank you again, and sorry about the injury. What kind of an injury was it, if you don't mind sharing?
It was an injury that had to do with I guess you can say it was a sexual assault. So
Oh, I'm sorry. I yeah. You can tell I didn't mean to like playfully bring it up.
no,
Um,
it's fine. It's fine. You know, it happens to a lot of women in the military, and it's something that, you know, it happened, and I am, I guess you can say, an honorably discharged veteran at a very young age. I served 10 years, but you know, it's something that it happened. I've accepted it a long time ago. It's honestly made me who I am. It's made me stronger because of what happened. So yeah.
yeah, I appreciate you sharing that. You could tell I just have a knack for getting into really awkward question answer right from the beginning. So no, so you're a trooper. Well, literally, you're a trooper. But going back, growing up, like was serving for the country, was that always something that you kind of had in your sights?
No, actually. So my mother was in the military. I had a lot of family members to go to the army, and going to the army was not even in my peripheral. I had not thought about it until I was a freshman in college, and I saw an ad, and it said something around paying for college and traveling. And I was like, oh, what is this? And I contacted the number, and it was an army recruiter. And I was like, oh wow, okay. I'll check this opportunity out. And then I said, you know what? Why not serve my country? Do this really cool opportunity where I get to travel and, obviously get my college paid for at the same time. I embarked on that journey and kind of went from there.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's awesome. Like you never know. Like some people are just kind of like born from day one, or just like I definitely want to serve. And then it's always interesting, kind of like the organic way that it ends up for some people. Was there anything during your time in the army that hinted towards starting your business?
The military taught me a lot about independence, grit, pivoting, how to be a great leader. They taught me a lot of things. And I kind of knew when I left the army that I didn't want to go back into like a regular civilian mode. I had actually, one of the other reasons I decided to join the military was really around when I was a young girl. I grew up in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and I actually struggled with like self esteem. And this was something that resulted from just a lot of childhood trauma. My parents were married and divorced. I mentioned my mother served to the military, and she actually suffered from PTSD. So she actually had an acute addiction to drugs and alcohol. So when I was this kid in high school, I was just making a bunch of poor decisions, doing things that weren't really leading me down the right path. As I stated earlier, I had seen this opportunity to get my college paid for, to travel, all of these things. But then something that really piqued my interest was, this cool opportunity to find myself pretty much. And because I had struggled with self esteem and I had made, some really not so great decisions, I decided, why not join the army? And that was just a really great way for me to develop who I was as a person. I really developed my sense of self, my self esteem flourished, and I was able to not only realize my potential, but actually start to reach toward what that potential could be. And it just so happened that I got this knack when I still serving into the military. I went into get my bachelor's degree in finance, went into investment banking, and I was still like, I really want to create this solution to this problem that I had when I was a kid. And it was this problem around low self esteem. The military taught me so much. And I said to myself, I can take some of these principles that I learned in the military and turn it into a curriculum that I can teach young girls and also help them develop self esteem. And it really just turned into a business. I knew that I wanted to start something that was more than just, oh, I want to make money. There was a social impact behind what it was that I was doing. I just had no idea that, when I had this thought, it would lead me to where I am right now today.
So that segues perfectly. So obviously it's tied together. Self-esteem, super important. Let's get to Enrichly. So really, really natural way of starting a business. Of all the, I guess, qualities or characteristics, or I don't know, it's been too long since I've taken health class. Whatever you consider self-esteem, like why for anyone, especially like, young adults, why is self-esteem so important?
Such a great question. When you think about, have you heard of Maslow's hierarchy of needs?
Yeah, yeah, of course. I do remember that from health class.
Yes. So if you look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right, self esteem is literally number four on the chart, just past, physiological needs, safety, love, and belonging. Self-esteem is number 4. So most people, they don't really make it past certain levels of that hierarchy chart before they can even reach where self-esteem is. Right after self-esteem is self-actualization. When you think about issues like youth violence, poor mental health, low academic performance, depression, anxiety, all of these things, they have this one common denominator, and it's low self-esteem. There's a book called Psycho-Cybernetics by Maxwell Maltz.
Great first name, by the way.
Yes, it is a great first name.
I am a fellow Maxwell.
It's so funny. But yes, he wrote a book called Psycho-Cybernetics. He was a world-renowned cosmetic surgeon, and he performed hundreds of surgeries on individuals, and he found that they were, I want to say 80% of them, they would always complain about the surgeries that he did. But it wasn't that they were unhappy with his work, they were just unhappy with who they were, internally. So it really didn't matter what they got fixed, they were still unhappy with themselves. And that unhappiness played a part in how they showed up in the world. So when you think about the fact that there's a huge difference between self esteem and confidence, for example, you think about your favorite athlete, your actor, or your actress, they have all the confidence in the world when it comes to showing up on the court, showing up on the field, or playing that role. But why do so many athletes or entertainers have issues with drugs and alcohol, or maybe eating disorders, or any of those things? It's because they're still unhappy with themselves. They have a low self-esteem. And I found that if my self-esteem is low, if my self-image is distorted, I'm never really accessing my full potential, because I'm only going to act the way that I see myself. And we've done so much research and so many studies around when you improve self esteem in a child, they perform better academically, they lead happier lives, and they're just more successful people. There was a study done that said, people who have higher self esteem actually generate more revenue in a lifetime than people with lower self esteem. So it's very interesting how self-esteem correlates with literally everything that a person does and how successful they'll be in life.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, it's so true. I mean, I remember when learning about those qualities yesterday. No, I self-esteem is one that I always kind of latched onto because it's like it seemed like one of those characteristics or emotions where if you get it right, if you have high self-esteem, it clearly flows to like so many different aspects of your life, and it goes hand in hand with confidence, as you said, and all those different things. So it's a great thing to build a business around. In terms of actually building your e-learning platform, your game, how did that start to take structure? Like what was involved in making, like visually or tech wise, starting to put together something that's actually usable by learners?
Yeah. So Enrichly is like, it's an ever evolving thing. So in 2017, when I decided to leave corporate America and, set off on this adventure to develop self esteem in kids, I started with a brick and mortar. And that actually evolved from these youth conferences that I used to do. So I would bring out like these tween celebrity guests, and they would come to venues that were generally located in Houston, sometimes maybe Atlanta or wherever I saw fit. But they would come and they would talk to these kids about self esteem and positive body image, all of these things that were revolved around helping, to boost self esteem in kids. And then it led from these youth conferences that I was doing where I would invite like kids from the Disney Channel or Nickelodeon into a brick and mortar that I had built the brick and mortar. I had gotten an SBA loan of around, I don't know, I was think of $250,000, built out a facility, turned it into a franchise system actually. I literally wrote my own franchise document and had an attorney review it. And he was like, He told me that it was the best franchise document he had ever seen, just written by an individual. And what I done, I just kind of went on. There was a free website where you can look at certain franchise disclosure documents, and I literally just kind of took language that I saw from like McDonald's or any of the other popular franchises, and I just adopted it for my own, and it worked. But it saved me like I don't know over $30,000. But yeah, I turned it into a franchise. We had gotten some like franchise applications in. We're actually going to start to allow other people to open up locations of their own. And it was very similar to a tutoring center where, we were open from 3 to 7. We have after school programs, drop in learning. But the only thing we were teaching children was how to develop a healthy self esteem. We went from that brick and mortar to COVID happening, and, everything went sort of south really fast, and we had to sort of cancel out all of our franchise applications, close our brick and mortar. I had to really sit down and think, okay, how do I take this thing that I had where we had real life programs? We had partnered with different school districts and we were implementing programs in the classrooms, to now we have to close our brick and mortar and classrooms are closed. And that's where Enrichly was born. And I remember it like it was yesterday. I do not have a technology background, but I thought to myself, how do I become a tech founder? How do I turn this paper curriculum into like really fun digital games? And it took me a while, but I did a lot of research. I found a learning management system that I used as my, I guess you can say, the very first version of Enrichly. I knew and this was back in 2020, that I wanted to use AI before AI was a buzzword. It was my goal to really use a digital platform that improved self-esteem in kids, that was able to learn from the user based on how they're answering certain questions when it came to, improving their self-esteem. How can we make sure that we tailor the curriculum or the technology to exactly what that child needed? So, right now today, I was able to hire a team of 26 that consists of full stack engineers, content developers, all of the above, to really turn this paper curriculum into these digitally gamified courses that look like video games to kids. And, they focus on developing self-esteem. Like I said, it richly is ever evolving. We started selling to schools because that's what we left off at with our brick and mortar, and then turned that into selling to the police departments to help them lower youth violence, to then discovering, well, we actually fit very well with healthcare, and selling to large healthcare systems, tapping into policy driven revenue. The interesting thing about Enrichly is that we're focused on self-esteem. Though it's very niche, it's very broad. So for us, we had to figure out, okay, which category do we really want to sell to? Do we want to sell to schools? Do we want to sell to law enforcement? Do we want to sell to healthcare? And it was a lot of hypotheses and really trying to figure out that ideal ICP. And, right now today, Enrichly is like a true SaaS product where we sell to clinicians, therapists, and counselors. They utilize Enrichly in the treatment plan for therapy sessions with their patients, their adolescent patients. And they can, bill insurance and get reimbursed. So we finally found the fit. It feels really great. It took a while, but we made it over the hump. We were always generating revenue. We generated revenue from day one. But, as a founder, all money is not good money. And you have to find that revenue. Provide you with longevity, some type of guarantee, and it's repeatable business. So, yeah, I hope that answers the question.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch it. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. No, that's your business is like a case study, like they did in like
It is.
an entrepreneurship class I studied in college. Like we covered so many businesses that have a really cool offering and are trying to decide like who is their target market or like which direction to go to. Because a lot of times there's, as you know, like there's a lot of good choices, and like you could still have success. It's not like all or nothing if you pick one choice or the other, but finding that best fit is definitely a journey and an ongoing effort. What sort of games do you offer that help with self esteem?
Yeah, so this is such a great question. So we have a
Thank
game,
you.
Defeat the Dragon of Negativity. And with that game, kids log in. So they log into Enrichly. One of the first things that they do is they take this self-esteem assessment. And the self-esteem assessment measures where their self-esteem is. It's how our recommendation engine provides them with content focused on improving their particular areas of struggle. We send them on a learning journey, either individually, peer to peer, or through the expert led facilitation. But like Defeat the Dragon of Negativity, after they take the self esteem assessment, they would pick a game. We're just going to say it's Defeat the Dragon. It takes them into sort of like this dragon layer, and the dragon is like the voice of negativity that's always in your head. So we educate them on, what is negative self talk, ways to overcome that. And they meet this wizard that says, okay, we have to unlock these levels, but in order to unlock the levels, you have to answer each question. And the question is based on everything that they learned and how to reframe sort of negative talk into more positive thinking. And they have to select the positive phrases versus negative phrases. Each level gets a bit more difficult where we're putting them in scenarios and saying, okay, you're, getting ready to take a math test and you really didn't study, but what are some things that you can tell yourself to put yourself in like a really great mindset? Because these are things that actually happen to kids. And some parents place so much pressure on their child that their child develops anxiety and all of these other things. So we make sure to include real world scenarios in each game. But like the Defeat the Dragon of Negativity, each level paints a different scenario on how to improve your mindset and how to get out of negative self-talk. So that's an example of a game that provides them with one of the tools to improve their self-esteem.
I already hate this dragon of negativity. I want to destroy it. No, it's really fun. I can see the benefits of it. How would you characterize developing a game as a quote unquote non tech founder?
Oh my gosh. Very interesting journey. So first of all, I had to really do my research around different gaming tools, but gaming tools that were easily integrated into a learning management system. So when I did that research, it allowed me to come up with a couple of different options that I was then able to compare and contrast. From there, I had to find a developer who was really good at the tool that I wanted to use. So for me, I was using something called Thinkific, which is a learning management system. And I found out that Thinkific integrates with SCORM and Genially files, which are really like story files or HTML. And I went on Upwork, which is, it's a tool where you find contractors to do any and everything that you could imagine.
Right.
Found someone on Upwork who was really good at creating Genially files, and actually I was using Articulate Storyline initially. And this was in early days and to me the games were they were good. They got the job done, but they don't look nearly as good as they look right now. However, found someone who was really good at Articulate Storyline. I really had to explain to this person how I wanted the game to be. So I sent them over curriculum. Now, mind you, this was back in 2020/21. COVID had just happened, so a lot of people were looking for different options when it comes to online learning. So people were using like Google Slides and PowerPoint, but I needed something that was a lot more interactive and engaging for kids. So when I found the contractor, I explained to them what I needed, sent them over the curriculum, and it just kind of went from there. I paid probably less than $15,000 and generated like $250,000 in revenue from clients with this little MVP. And I was using a third party system called Thinkific to host the content. And it was a really great solution for what we needed to prove out okay, do kids want to play these games? And as you know, if your product is solving the issue for the customer, they really don't care how ugly it looks. They just want access to it. From there, I kind of just grew from using articulate storyline files with one of my contractors who was literally based in Australia to now I have like a team of 10 that are based from, Canada to Brazil to the Philippines. We're actually working with the royal family out in the UAE, and they're creating content on Genially and integrating them into my own platform that I built from scratch. Yeah, I learned so much. And even though sometimes I'm like pulling my hair out and asking myself, oh my gosh, what are you doing? I'm proud of the product that was created and the games that we get to host on the platform. We literally just sold like 10 of our games to Harris County Department of Education so that they can use on their platform. And it's really great. It was a great learning experience as a founder. And yeah.
By the way, that explains. Like, I knew you live in Houston, and it's on your LinkedIn. And when you accepted my Calendly invite for this, it said Dubai time is when you scheduled
Yes.
it, and I was like, wait a second, what's going on?
Yes. Yes, I was actually living out in Abu Dhabi for a couple of months. I'm actually headed back in September because we are working with the Early Childhood Authority. We were piloting our programs out there and we're going to do more work in that region, and there's a massive opportunity for what we're offering.
Oh, that's super cool. So I wasn't just seeing things when it said Dubai time on the email, but well, congrats on all the success. And I mean, in terms of ROI on an MVP, just if we're going to keep rolling with the acronyms here, that is incredible. It's been able to afford you growing the team like that, and expanding it and improving graphics and all that. Looking back on this journey so far, what would you say has been the biggest driver for the growth of Enrichly?
Are my team and our personal stories with, self-esteem. And each and every one of us really knowing and understanding that what we're doing is like way bigger than us. And we have to solve this massive issue in our society if we want to see some change in the next 10, 20, 30 years. For everyone on the team, I can honestly and truly say it's not just been about the money. I had to tell my team, hey, I don't have payroll. Can you all wait to get paid? Because, we work with a lot of our government entities or like school districts, and cash flow is like lumpy at times. And, they said, yeah, we believe in the mission. We believe in you as our leader. So whatever you need. And, for me, it really kind of made me look at my team like, you really care about what we're building. And it's not just about the money. And that really just made me feel great. So my team, I think, is definitely the biggest driver in growth. The second thing that I would say is I think that there is just a massive gap in the market for what we're offering. When it comes to what I coined as the phrase is personal development technology. Personal development is like a $3 billion industry itself. And when you think about it, there's mainly audibles and podcasts that, people like myself or even Ed Milet or Gary Vee or any of these other like motivational sort of speakers will come on and they would talk about giving you the confidence that you need to go and be whatever it is that you need to be. And so many people are missing that piece, that the industry is huge, but there is no really technology that speaks to that. The fact that Enrichly is focused on improving self-esteem and that it's niche but very broad is also a huge driver, because I don't think that I can say I've walked away in a single month without a sale to someone, whether it's a government entity, healthcare, a nonprofit, or whatever the case is.
We are totally gonna destroy the vibes because that was such a beautiful note to end on. But I want to wrap up with rapid fire Q&A.
Yes, yes, for sure.
You ready for it?
Yes.
All right, let's get wild. We'll switch it up a bit. I'm gonna call this question the GOAT, meaning the game of all time. In addition to the games on Enrichly, this could be from childhood or any time of your lifetime. What would you say is your favorite game of all time? Like, could be a video game, board game, game of sports, whatever you want. You could just pick one.
For me to have created this platform where you have to play games to develop your self-esteem, I've never really been a huge gamer. However,
I was gonna guess that after
I
you said you weren't you were a non-tech founder. You never know.
I would say Mortal Kombat,
Oh, that's a classic.
my favorite game. That's the game when I was a kid. If I would have say I played anything, it was Mortal Kombat. Now, physical sports wise, it was dodgeball. It's between those two.
Dodgeball, great game, great movie. Mortal Kombat. Who's your favorite Mortal Kombat character?
The girl with the long ponytail, I
Yeah.
think.
Oh, I know what I can't think of her name, but I know. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Or the guy who usually says, "Get over here." I don't know his name.
The get over here guy. We'll
Yes, the
coin
get
it.
over here guy.
All right. So you mentioned Abu Dhabi. What is your favorite thing to do on a long flight other than sleep?
Work. I like. Oh wait, no. Or no, I would say watch movies.
But those are very different things. Do you find yourself working or watching movies more?
I don't know. Like, so when I'm on a long flight, and I honestly, I don't. I enjoy the flight because the food is really great, and I get to relax, and my phone is not ringing because I'm in the air.
Yeah.
Snuggle in, watch a movie, and respond to a bunch of emails, or just work on my spreadsheets. And that's like one of my favorite things to do on the flight.
It is really nice. Like, it's hard to have moments like that these days where you're not gonna get hit up with a bunch of alerts and notifications. Like, it's really nice. And it's nice to it's very peaceful and serene to be doing whatever you're doing and then look out and you're like, "Oh my god, we're on top of the clouds. We're up here."
Exactly. Now, my children frequently fly with me back and forth. So, but when they're not with me, it's very peaceful.
Absolutely. What is your favorite thing to do or recommend to people in Milwaukee?
Oh, wow. Go to Summerfest. It's this festival that they do every summer. And they have like so many different types of foods and rides. And they usually do concerts every year. But if you're ever in Milwaukee in the summer, I would definitely say to hit up Summerfest.
That just sounds nice. Summerfest. It's like it's almost as pleasant as like not getting hit up with phone calls on a phone on a phone on a plane.
I know, yeah. Yeah, I'm actually gonna make a trip to Milwaukee this summer, and I plan to stop at Summerfest.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, looking forward to the pics and videos. But last one. I know you spent some time, or I think multiple stints working at banks. What's something about being a banker or working at a bank that you think most people in the public would be surprised to hear?
Working at the bank was actually where I developed my sales skills. I've always been a great seller. However, when I was working at a bank, I was really able to grow my sales skills as an investment banker because I had to go out and get accounts and I had to figure out how to do that. And they like threw me in the gauntlet day one. It was like, okay, you need to go get 40 accounts this month. I was like, oh gosh, how do I do this? So I had to figure it out. And, that's where I learned my sales skills.
Yeah, no, that's a great one. I just love hearing about skills and aspects of people's personality. I don't know where I'm going with this. I like hearing about skills people take from each stop of their career. But
Oh yeah, no, for sure.
Margo, thank you so much. This has been awesome, and really appreciate your story and being open about everything and all you're doing with Enrichly. And on top of that, just for the listeners, so Margo, we're recording this right after the hurricane hit Houston. You're based in Houston. You're also as if your plate wasn't full enough. Like you have a baby that demands a lot of your time as well.
Yes.
And instead of moving this, Margo was like, like, let's do this. I have time now. I've been excited for this. Let's knock it out. So this is one of the most impressive podcast guesting performances I've ever heard. So
Oh, thank
thanks
you.
again. Thanks again for doing this. Where is the best place for people to try out Enrichly or learn more about it if they want to, as well as if they want to connect with you online?
Yeah. So for Enrichly, just go to enrichly.world. So enrichly.world. You can find us on Instagram. It's enrich.ly. And then I'm on LinkedIn. It's just Margo Jordan. Just email me at margo@enrichly.world.
Perfect. There's a whole world of ways to contact you. See what I did there? All right. Last thing, final thoughts. It could be a quote, words to live by, another slogan from catchphrase from Mortal Kombat, whatever you want. Send us home here.
You teach best what you need the most.
Well said and well taught. Thank you so much, Margo, for all you do, for coming on the podcast, for sharing your incredible Enrichly story and beyond. And thank you, wild listeners, for tuning in to another episode. If you want to hear more wild stories like this one, make sure to subscribe or follow the Wild Business Growth Podcast on your favorite podcast app, as well as hit subscribe on YouTube. YouTube is at Max Branstetter. You can also find us on Good Pods. And for any help with podcast production, you can learn more at maxpodcasting.com. And sign up for the Podcasting to the Max newsletter. That is at maxpodcasting.com/newsletter. Until next time, let your business run wild. Bring on the bongos!